Good evening, everybody. This is my first attempt at storytelling on YouTube, and I shall narrate to you the first episode of Mahabharata. Now, Mahabharata is the most popular epic in the world, four times the size of Iliad and Odyssey combined. It is more complicated story than the most complicated story ever in existence. For the current generation, growing up on Game of Thrones is like a baby compared to a giant flying dragon of Mahabharata. Let us see where this story starts. The story starts in the cold, inhospitable mountains of Mount Kailasha. Kailasha is the tallest and coldest mountains on the planet Earth, and this was the heavenly abode for Lord Parmeshwara, the ultimate god of gods. Unfortunately, the god, being a god of erratic habits, had gone away for his walkabout and was away for many years, leaving his wife alone. The wife Parvati was used to her husband's absences, and thus, when this story starts, she is in her cave, bathing in a hot water pool with her son at the mouth of the cave to protect it from intruders. Vinayaka was a young boy of great intelligence and greater courage who stood guard to the door while his mother was having a bath. And at this moment, he saw a criminal beggar-looking person staggering into the abode of Kailasha. This man had matted hair, had ash from the burial ground smeared over his body, had poisonous scorpions dangling from his hair, had poisonous snakes dangling around his neck, had a pipe of cannabis which he was inhaling. His eyes were glazed, his animal skin clothes were tatty, and as he staggered inside, Vinayaka shouted loudly and clearly, "Stop, stop, you scoundrel! Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you entering this place? Stop here, for my mother is having a bath, and you should not enter this place unless I give you permission." After all, Shiva is called Parameshwara. Param Ishvara meaning the greatest of gods, and this god of gods was never used to others ordering him, because it was he who gave the orders. In one clean sweep, he cut the boy's head across and kicked the head, which fell into the ravines. The pink, helpless body withered in the snow as it bled. And staggering, Shiva entered the hut, entered the cave, and bellowed loudly for his wife. Instant Parvati heard Shiva's voice. She came running to him and fell at his feet. "Oh, my master, how I have missed you! Where have you been? It has been really long time. Please, come back to your heavenly abode." And before Shiva could compose himself, she hugged him and then said, "Before you enter my house, let me show you your son, Vinayaka, whom I have been nurturing for the last so many years, waiting for arrival." She went out and screamed, Vinayaka, Vinayaka, where are you? She looked left, she looked right, but she couldn't find her son. She told her husband, our young son is here only, maybe he would have gone out to play somewhere. He's such a beautiful boy. You would love him. Next instant, her foot stumbled on something. She bent down and saw the decapitated body of her own son. In an instant, she started wailing and screaming. She could look at the guilt-ridden face of Shiva and could understand that it was his there was just mistake due to intoxication that had made him cut his own son's head. Falling at her husband's feet, she wailed, oh my dear husband, what has my son done? Why have you cut his head? This is a great disaster. How I nurtured him, how I brought him up for you, and how I waited for you to come back. And here you come and kill him. You are Parameshwara, the Lord of Lords. I want my son back. I don't know what you do. I want my son here now. Right now, I want my son. Poor Shiva, by now had become all sober. All his intoxicants and alcohol had come down. And he rushed out in a panic, wanting to revive the boy. Shiva was also the first surgeon in this universe, and he was skilled enough to reimplant a cut neck. So, if he could locate the head of his son, he could reattach it back and blow the whisper of life into his body and make his wife happy. However, he searched high and low but could not find the body of his son. So aggressive was his kick in the beginning that he had thrown away the head into the valley, and now it is irrevocably lost into the deep ravines of the mighty Kailasa mountains. What would the poor fellow do? He did not have the courage to go back and face Parvati, who was wailing with a headless boy on her laps, screaming, shouting, and hysterical. At this moment, from a distance, he saw a herd of mountain elephants walking towards Kailasa, flapping their big ears and pulling the trunks out. There's a mother elephant, a father elephant, and a baby elephant. Shiva rushed down Kailasa, folded his hands before the father elephant and said, oh great elephant, I need a great favor. As Shiva was Parameshwara, the God of gods, every creature on this universe was subservient to him. And the elephant couple lifted their trunks and said, oh Parameshwara, what can we do for you? The Lord said, I want to adopt your son. Such a young child to give away to Shiva was little disheartening for the elephant couple. But because the God had asked, they could not refuse. Shiva saw the hesitation and looked at them and said, I give you two blessings. Your son will be the most popular person as a very famous author in this universe, and there will be no greater writer than him, and no one would have written or penned a bigger epic than what he is going to write. Secondly, he is going to be large-brained, a person who would clear all obstacles and be the first person to be prayed to whenever mortals decide to embark on a new venture. These are the blessings that I bestow on your son. Please with Shiva's blessings. The elephant couple happily gave the baby to Shiva. He carried the elephant baby, brought him up to Kailasa, and performed the complicated reimplantation surgery, wherein he detached the head of the baby elephant and attached it to his son. The instant the operation was successful, the little young boy waved his trunk, wiped his mother's tears, looked at her, and gave a smile and flapped his ears. Parvati had forgotten all her anguish and hugged the boy, half man, half elephant, as he put his trunk round her neck and hugged her in return. Shiva looked at the boy and said, I name you Ganesha. You shall be the master of my Ganas, or my army of protectors. Gan Isha, the god of Ganas. And you will be the greatest and most intelligent author in the world. Many eons later, when a Brahmana called Vedavyasa wants to write the most memorable story of this universe, he will need a scribe with that much of intelligence that the scribe understands the story and documents it on palm leaves. You shall be the only person competent in 3 words to write this epic story. Young Ganesha, not able to understand the complicated things his father was saying, just flapped his ear, moved his trunk, and gave out a large trumpet. And thus, in due course of time, when Vyasa narrated Mahabharata, it was Lord Ganesha who wrote up the whole epic. And even today, in Hindu culture, before we embark on any new design, any new venture, or any new activity, or even start anything, we do a Ganesha Vandana before starting, as he is the first prime amongst gods whose blessing is essential for our success and happiness. In the second discourse or talk, I shall be telling you about the young sage Vedavyasa and how he had an idea to write about Mahabharata, and for that there will be a complicated interaction with Lord Krishna, the 8th avatara of Lord Vishnu. And before that, we have to know who is Shiva, who is Vishnu, and who is Maheshwara, all of which will come to you in the next story to be recorded and transmitted soon. Thank you very much. Thank you.